Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
My office has a big fantasy football league that I found out about that I'm kind of on a waiting list. I don't know when the draft is, but last time I was in our big office in New York, I went to see one of my buddies, and on his desk he had this huge trophy. I'm like, what is this? He goes, I won the fantasy football league last year. It was exactly like from the show The League, you know, the trophy, the Shiva?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a huge trophy. I was like, what the hell? So hopefully I'll get into that one.
You buried the lead, though. What do you mean on a waiting list? Why won't they take your money? Why won't they just let anybody in who wants to get in? I don't get that.
You're listening to the Skip and Josh podcast with Skip Sherman and Josh Obadia.
Good morning, Skip. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. So your studio, every time I come to it, it gets better every time.
I aim to please.
So we used to have like this ragtag studio of yours, where we had to share a microphone.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that when we're together, the sound quality of our episodes are worse.
Yeah. Now it's going to be better.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. All things, according to all the extensive testing that I did, which is like 5 minutes, the sounds today should be great.
So just to let the listeners know, we are actually in the same room today.
Yeah.
So we said when we started doing this show 2 years ago that it would be rare that we're together.
But it seems to happen like 10 times a year.
It does seem to happen quite often.
Actually, my wife was asking me, she's like, how often does this happen that you need this new setup? And like, how come? Isn't it just like once a year? I'm like, well, no, Josh just seems to be here all the time.
I know. I come here quite a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I feel like we haven't done like a regular episode in a long time.
I feel like that too.
I mean, we had those 2 Duke episodes, which were like regular episodes, but they really weren't because we just talked about all your adventures, you know.
Yeah, those were fun. Those were fun to do.
But like now I think it's like we're going to kind of get back to our normal sort of format where we ramble about whatever we feel like.
Yeah, I haven't been in any locker rooms recently or any press conference recently. So, so we're just left to our own devices now.
That's perfect.
So what do you want to talk about?
The National Football League.
Well, I mean, NFL Week 1, I think that's like top of my list.
All right.
You told me it's not on your list before. You hinted at that.
The truth is I made this list before the NFL season started.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know we're going to talk about the NFL, obviously, but I don't need to put that on my list because I'm not going to forget about that.
I mean, I don't want to like run down every game. Like, we're definitely not going to do that.
No.
I pinpointed 5 or 6 games that were interesting with little stories that were interesting. And I mean, you were here yesterday and we were watching football. Some of it was unfolding as we were watching together.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
So it was really the first time that I ever watched football with you and your son.
Yeah.
Because the last time I watched football with you and your son, he might have been like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Which is completely different.
Yesterday wasn't a typical watching. Like, you should come and watch when we're watching the Eagles.
Okay, but I have to say that yesterday was dizzying for me.
Oh, yeah.
With your son controlling the remote, I wasn't able to watch the game, game for more than about 7 seconds.
He was flipping back and forth between the 3 games that we had on.
It was basically, he was doing his own version of the NFL Red Zone.
But only with whatever we could get on our cable package.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was very frantic yesterday because he's in like 2 fantasy pools, plus he's trying like something on DraftKings. And then I'm in 2 fantasy leagues, which is, you should come over. So that was like the focus. Like, how are my guys doing? Which I dropped out of fantasy football for a while because I didn't like that feeling.
That was a smart move, dropping out.
But now I got sucked back in.
Not a smart move.
And, you should watch with us when the Eagles are playing, because when the Eagles are playing, he's not looking at his phone. Neither am I. We're not looking at like what our fantasy guys are doing. We're focused on like what's happening in the actual football, not fantasy football. We're in reality football, you know?
Your son is already a degenerate gambler.
He's on his way.
Yeah, that's good to know.
He's on his way. So, I mean, not much to say about a lot of the games. Yesterday was Rosh Hashanah. Happy New Year to all our Jewish listeners.
Yes.
So we had a big dinner last night, which means I completely missed. I did not watch 1 second of the Packers-Bears game, which was the best game of the weekend. Did you see any of it?
So I saw part of it, but to be honest, I was more focused on the Red Sox-Astros game.
Really?
I'm probably the only person who was more focused on that,
Wow.
other than people in Boston and Houston.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're playing and it's a big series, but
I was watching that and I was flipping to, NFL only during commercials of baseball.
right.
And
Well, baseball's perfect for that.
when I saw it was 20-0 Chicago,
You're like, it's over.
well, I was thrilled because I had picked Chicago in my pool with the spread.
Yeah.
And all they had to do, like they didn't have to win even.
Just cover.
They could have lost by a touchdown. I still would have won.
Yeah.
So when they were up by 20, I'm like, this is fantastic. And then every time I would change, it's 20-7. It's 20-10. So on and so forth. And then next thing you know, Green Bay has the lead.
I know, it was crazy. I mean, I didn't see any of the game, but I heard all about it, and I read about it this morning, and then I watched all the highlights. I watched a long highlights package on NFL Network. They recap all the games quite in depth. Mm-hmm. And it's we've seen that before, Aaron Rodgers hobbling around, barely limping around the field, throwing Hail Marys and throwing, he's a machine, right? But
I feel so bad for the Bears.
I was thinking about who are our friends that are Bears fans? Costa,
yeah,
right? I mean, I'm sure there's others, but he's the one that came to mind, and I was like, man, those Bears fans, they must be thinking new team, new offensive coordinator, Trubisky, new coach, Trubisky a year under his belt. Khalil Mack, it's not the same old Bears, and then they came out and they're winning 20-0. They must have been yeah, this is gonna be our year. Look how great our team is. Everything we thought how good our team could be is what we are. It's they must have been so excited about there's so much hope in the preseason, and you think your team's gonna be good, and then the week starts and you're like, yeah, we are good, and then they still lost. So that sucks.
The only good thing about it is that Wilbon will be pissed.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. He's not going to be surprised, of course.
Of course not.
But, I mean, Rodgers says he's playing next week. I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, he finished the game yesterday. Why wouldn't he play next week if he finished the game?
I guess, but, can he really hobble around?
What happened to him? I didn't see the injury.
I didn't see it either. Honestly, I didn't see it either. But it's his left knee, which is apparently a knee he had surgery on when he was in college. So how many years ago? Who knows if it means anything? No one really knows exactly what happened, I don't think. But, he's Aaron Rodgers. And from what I saw in the highlights, it kind of validated what I said because Neil in our football preview said he was really high on the Bears. And I was fine with them. But I had a lot of concerns about Trubisky, and he was well, he doesn't have to win the games for them. He just has to manage the games, which is what he did for 3 quarters. And then when it came time with getting the ball with under 2 minutes left, and all he had to do was try to lead his team, he looked like deer in the headlights.
Well, I didn't see the game, but I'm sure the Bears defense has to take some blame for that.
Of course. It's...
Especially that long play by Randall Cobb.
That's just ridiculous. He just ran past everybody.
Yeah, so you can't blame Trubisky for that.
No, and then they had an interception. They had the guy Fuller on the Bears had a ball right in his chest for interception that would have sealed the game, and he dropped it. So these are things that you don't see in the box score, Anyway, so that's the Bears. I was trying to watch the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, but, we couldn't get it because of broadcast rules. You were here, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. I know a lot of Steelers fans, and they can't be very happy about how the season started with a tie against Cleveland. Roethlisberger looked like garbage. Le'Veon Bell's holding out. The replacement came in, scored rushed for 100-something yards, 2 touchdowns. The offensive line was cheering for him when he scored. They were so happy for him. So I don't know how Le'Veon Bell's gonna come back to that team.
Well, if the Steelers lose their next game and the one after that, then they're gonna have to give in to Le'Veon Bell whatever he wants.
I guess, but if this guy's rushing for 100 yards,
it's like what happened with the Dallas Cowboys and Emmitt Smith about 10 years ago.
Yeah. But what if this guy's rushing for 100 yards every game? He's not the problem.
But if they're losing,
I guess. Yeah, if they're losing. And then meanwhile, I read a great stat. Cleveland is 0-1 now, which is their best start since 2004.
I read that. I read that as well.
They didn't lose. Remember I said in our preview with Neil, I said they need to focus on winning a game?
Yeah.
Well, they still have that same goal.
And by the way,
they're closer. Closer.
By the way, the Browns covered.
The Browns covered. That's all we care about here. Point spreads, that's all we care about. Point spreads. I think it's exciting if you're I don't know any Cleveland Browns fans, but I think they have a lot to be excited about. And I think at this point, they're when is Baker Mayfield coming in? Because Tyrod Taylor showed he's really just a game manager. And
I don't think Baker Mayfield should play all season.
No, they have nothing. They're not going anywhere this year, right?
No.
So they should focus on next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
But I mean, as a Browns fan, they're probably chomping at the bit for him, you know?
All those quarterbacks that were drafted this year, I don't think any of them should play. I know some of them are.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of them should.
Play, yeah. Well, we'll see how Sam Darnold does tonight in the Monday night for the
Yes, we
Jets.
will.
Although, like, who knows?
Yeah.
So Houston, New England was on when you were here, and you told me something that shocked me.
What did I tell you?
you picked Houston in your
Yes.
pick'em pool.
I have like 3 rules when it comes to picking against the spread.
Yeah.
One is the Patriots always cover.
You told me that a million times.
Yeah. 2 is the Steelers never cover.
Yeah.
And the third one is anytime a team is favored by more than 7, not 7, but more than 7, I usually go with the underdog.
Yeah. So in this case,
I went against all 3 of those things yesterday, and it came back to bite me because the Patriots obviously covered.
obviously.
The Steelers obviously didn't.
Yeah.
And the New Orleans Saints, who were favored by 9.5,
Yeah.
not only did they not win, they outright lost the game, which I don't understand. Which, by the way, I'm in a survivor pool, and half the people in my pool are eliminated.
Half the people are gone in week 1
Yes.
because they had the Saints.
Yes.
I mean, if I was in a survivor pool, I was looking at it because when you told me, I was like, well, who would I have picked? I mean, there was only 2 picks yesterday for me for a survivor pool. One was the Saints,
Yeah.
and the other was Baltimore.
Right.
Right?
Right. Well,
Baltimore, they won by
destroyed,
40
yeah.
points or whatever, but like, yeah. Anyways, so the lesson about the Patriots is
never pick against them.
on the spread, they always cover.
Yeah.
And they did yesterday, and they
Yeah.
probably will keep doing that. I mean,
This is without Edelman.
yeah, nothing changed with the Patriots. They lost in the Super Bowl, but they came out and they looked like
Yeah,
they're the
it's
same.
frustrating.
They're the same, and they're going to be the same until Brady is gone.
Yeah, but he's getting older,
Yeah.
and like, is there no other good team in that entire conference that can at least win a game?
Well, I think maybe in the conference, yeah, but not in the division.
Well, not in the division, no. But like the Steelers don't look good at all.
No, they don't. Jacksonville is another team I wanted to talk about. Their defense looked great, but like head to head against the Patriots, are they able to take that step that they couldn't last year? I mean, I told you in our preview that I thought they would, but I'm not so sure.
Maybe the Chiefs. The Chiefs
The
played
Chiefs,
a lot better.
The Chiefs
than I
is the
expected.
other. The Chiefs is the last game I wanted to mention, and like Schnerbs told us, watch out for the Chiefs. They're like a video game, and then all we did was see Tyreek Hill running around the field like he was in Tecmo Bowl.
I was surprised because that was really Pat Mahomes' first game, was it not?
Yeah. Well, no, I
mean,
technically his first game. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, I know that he's highly touted and, you know, he's got this pedigree and everything, but you and I have seen many rookies in many sports that are supposed to be great and they're flops.
Yeah.
So it's not like you could just pencil him into the lineup and think, okay, that's it, we're going to win 12, 13, 14 games.
Right.
So I thought, there'd be some sort of an adjustment period where, Kansas City, they might not get off to a great start. And maybe by midseason, they'd be in midseason form. Yeah. But then lo and behold, they won game 1 as if they've been playing together for years.
He has a cannon for an arm. I know that doesn't always tell you how he's going to do.
Jay Cutler had a cannon for an arm.
He has a cannon for an arm. And like Neil told us, he has a lot of weapons, Like Tyreek Hill, you just have to give him like a 2-yard pass and you don't know what's going to be, And same thing with Kareem Hunt. He doesn't need a lot to break big runs. So they're a dangerous team, like Neil told us. I mean, so that's really all I wanted to mention on week 1. I mean, I sort of mentioned quickly about Jacksonville and the Giants, and Saquon Barkley seems to be like as advertised, Everything we heard about him as like, this guy's going to be this. And then we watched him and I was like, oh yeah, that's what he is. He's power, speed, everything, hurdling guys and breaking tackles.
He reminds me a little bit of Leonard Fournette from last year.
Yeah, I think Fournette is more of a powerful runner, maybe less of like a game breaker. Mm-hmm. Like Barkley seems like the type, like anytime he touches the ball, it could be like a touchdown. Fournette is like a little bit more of like, I guess Damian Tomlinson. He's like more powerful. It's hard to compare. Although, like I said, I didn't love how the Jacksonville played yesterday, but Fournette was out before halftime, so he's basically their whole offense.
He gets injured every year,
He does, I know, because if he's not healthy, they're in big trouble.
For sure.
Because their whole game is predicated on defense and run.
Yeah, because they
and
don't
if they
have
can't
a quarterback.
run, well, he's okay. He's below average. That's all.
This is what I don't understand. So many quarterbacks changed teams this offseason.
And Jacksonville stuck with theirs.
And yeah, like of all the teams that should have gone out and got another quarterback.
I know. What if Jacksonville would have gone and got Alex Smith?
Or never
Kirk
mind.
Cousins.
What's it called? the Jets just gave away
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
For pretty much, no, I don't think that much.
Yeah,
So Jacksonville couldn't have got
I don't
Teddy
think
Bridgewater?
he's that much better than Bortles, but he's definitely better.
Yeah.
Like he's an upgrade, right? Yeah.
Anyway,
so that's my takes in NFL Week 1.
All right.
I'm not going to really look at the schedule for Week 2. Like we won't really preview it.
No. Who knows?
But we'll keep going like week to week. Like the NFL, it has a great way of making us schedule our podcasts.
Yes. Yeah.
Recording times. Yeah.
Exactly.
The National Hockey League.
So I know this is on your list.
Okay.
I woke up this morning and
Yeah.
like a lot of the people in the world, I get my news from like Twitter and Facebook.
Okay.
So I saw that the Habs traded Max Pacioretty.
So
It's like what we knew, everybody in the world knew it had to happen.
mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, like, is it really going to happen before they get to training camp? It seemed like the clock was ticking, you know? And then lo and behold, now he's gone.
So I had written down a bunch of things before this trade happened
Right.
that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
They're not specifically about Max Pacioretty,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not specifically about this trade. The first thing is, and this is what bugs me, which I haven't done one in a while,
We haven't.
but it bugs me when players say, whether it's Pacioretty or any player in any league, in any sport,
Yeah.
when they say, I'm not going to negotiate during the season.
Yeah.
This is a head scratcher for me because
Mostly it's organizations that do that. You don't hear players doing it as much. A lot of teams are like, we're not going to negotiate, you know?
what I don't understand why any player would say this, because the player, even if it's during the season, he is playing. He has an agent who does his negotiating for him.
Yeah, he doesn't have to
So
do anything.
does it really matter if I have a game tonight in Pittsburgh?
Oh my God,
and
I'm not going to play well because I'm negotiating.
Right, you're not even negotiating. You're playing your game in Pittsburgh. Your agent is who knows where in some other city.
Yeah.
And if he wants to have a conversation with the general manager while you're playing hockey, let him have the conversation.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all.
So don't tell me you're not going to negotiate during the season. The other thing that bugs me about this is, let's say the team goes to the player's agent during the season and says, here, we have this contract we want to offer you. And it's like an amazing contract.
Sorry, we're not negotiating during the
Yeah,
season.
you're going to say, no,
Please.
I know it's an amazing offer. I know it's 10 years at $10 million a year, and it's going to have me set for the rest of my life. But it's during the season. I'm not negotiating. Call me back at the end of the year. Really, that's what he's going to say?
In this particular situation, Pacioretty kind of came out and said, I'm not going to negotiate during the season. Because obviously the relationship between him and the team was like, no, I was going to say cold, but it's beyond cold.
It was fractured.
It's like
whatever.
he knew he wasn't coming back. They didn't want it. They knew he wasn't coming back. They didn't want him back. He didn't want to come. Like it was done.
Right. So really what he was saying then, he wasn't saying I'm not going to negotiate during the season. He was basically saying I don't want to play on this team.
Yeah, he's saying I'm not coming back next year.
So here's the second thing that bugs me about all this.
Yeah.
And it's, again, not just Pacioretty. But anytime you hear any interview with any player, or any general manager, or any team owner, whatever they say publicly,
it's a lie.
It's completely a lie.
It's a lie.
It's like, I don't even want to hear what they say anymore.
The worst thing is when a player signs with another team and then word comes out after, I really wanted to stay with team A. I really wanted to stay with my original team. It just didn't work out. No, if you really wanted to stay with that team, you would have stayed with that team.
Exactly. So just shut your mouth. Like, I don't want to hear these things.
Yeah.
Oh, we really like him. He's a character guy, but it was best to move on. Like,
that's nonsense.
And the thing is, part of the blame falls on the media for asking dumb questions.
Well, that's all they do. Yeah.
But I don't need to hear these interviews. I don't need to hear these press conferences. Just on the way driving here today, I listened to Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah.
I don't listen to Sports Talk Radio.
But today's the best day to listen to it with this big trade breaking. Everyone's losing their minds.
Yeah, I don't listen to Sports Talk Radio anymore.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't listen to Montreal Sports Talk Radio because I don't live here anymore.
Yeah.
But just in the 15, 20, 30 minutes to get here, the things that I heard on the radio were like, I wanted to strangle people.
Yeah, they don't know anything.
One caller calls in and says, I don't know if you saw the video tribute that they posted on Twitter. The Canadiens posted a video tribute to Max Pacioretty. Yes. One caller says, I saw that video. That video was done very well. It must have taken at least a week to put that video together. So the Canadiens must have known about this trade at least a week ago.
No, that video can be put together in 2 hours.
Exactly.
An intern can do it.
Well, maybe not an intern, but yes, it can be done in 2 hours. So that was one dumb thing that I heard. There were so many other dumb things. I don't even remember them all. I couldn't write down because I was driving.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I know. People
seriously?
lose their mind. In this city, Toronto too, all the big hockey markets where hockey is like a religion, people get crazy.
And another thing that bugged me was a few weeks ago, Pacioretty's agent, I think, came out and said that he's never asked to be traded.
Yeah.
But today, I think both Bergevin and Molson said that Pacioretty asked to be traded.
Of course he did.
So I wasn't in the room. I don't know if he did ask for a trade. I don't know if he didn't ask for a trade. But one of them must not be telling the truth.
Of course.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the actual trade, like I haven't heard of the guy they got, Suzuki, but apparently he is a big prospect.
He's the catcher on the Seattle Mariners.
That's the guy, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Ichiro's cousin?
Maybe.
Yeah. But apparently he is a legit prospect. So in terms of like what they got in the circumstances, I mean, they got Thomas Tatar, but like that's whatever. Like it's fine. You know, like I don't even want to look at the trade in the merits of like a hockey trade, who won the trade, because it's almost irrelevant, because this whole thing is they were never going to get the proper value for Pacioretty because they created such a bad situation. They created such a horrible situation where they had to trade this guy. Why did you make this situation where now they're going to come out and say, yeah, we made a really, really good trade. Well, like, why did you have to trade him? It's like they're fixing their own mistake. You know, they're constantly trying to fix their own mistakes. That's the problem with this whole regime, you know, like with Bergevin. It's like they screw up and then they're like, oh, now we better fix what we screwed up. So now they're still doing that again. And now Price is going to go. I bet you Price is next to go.
First of all,
if I'm him, would I want to be on this team?
I didn't even think about Price going, but if he goes, I think that's a good thing because then they get out of that huge contract.
Yeah, no.
But let me address the first thing you said about the trade itself. So obviously, had they made the trade 12 months ago, they would have got a lot more.
Yeah.
Even if they made it 6 months ago, they would have got a lot more.
Yeah.
But this trade is different than the PK Subban trade. It's different than the...
no, because this is a rebuilding style trade
it's different than the Sergachev trade.
Yeah.
It's different than those because we got older.
Yeah.
The Canadians got older,
well,
I should say,
those other trades were like hockey for hockey, instead like as if to say we're still trying to make the playoffs. This is like you're trading like your best, I'm putting it in quotations marks, but like one of your best players for prospects.
But the Canadians also got younger.
Yeah.
And they got 3 players for 1.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have the third player yet, but 3 players for 1. So in that sense, I actually like the trade.
But if I'm Carey Price and I'm like, maybe this team's going to be good in 4 to 5 years, and I'm already going to be 35, like, do I want to stay on this team?
Well, I mean, if Carey Price wants to leave, why would Shea Weber want to stay? He's even older.
Well, I bet you he's next to go too. They're gonna.
But I heard that he's going to be the next captain of the team.
Well, he should be. Although the thing is, he's out till December.
Right.
But yeah, he should be the next captain of the team, I think.
And there was one other thing. Oh, yeah. So, you know, there have been a lot of big trades ever since Bergevin took over. PK Subban.
A lot. The Drouin, like you said. Yeah.
The Drouin trade.
Yeah,
Alex Galchenyuk, this.
Signing Radulov, even though it's not a trade. Like, they brought him here. Yeah.
It's like, and most of them so far haven't been good.
No, it's like that old saying, you know, he's rearranging the deck chairs.
On the Titanic.
On the Titanic.
Yeah.
But, like, he's just rearranging, you know. Okay, here's $1, give me 4 quarters. We'll try to figure it. Like, that's, you know, like, there's not... Trains... I said this to you so many times, I don't want to say it again. But, like, the year that Bergevin took over, the year that he took over the team, they went to the conference finals. But that was a good team.
That wasn't his team.
No, but that was a good team.
Yeah.
All he had to do was tweak that team, and they could have maybe kept going, you know, like, improve on that a little bit, and they maybe could have went rounds further. And it just got worse every year. So, like, there's something wrong. Anyways, that's hockey.
No, but there's another thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
How many golf tournaments do Canadians players have?
Oh. Well, the Canadians have the big golf tournament that's coming up. The Canadians.
But there's one today, right now, I think.
I think that's the Canadians.
Okay. No? So here's my question.
I know Pacioretty had a golf tournament. I never heard of any other player having a tournament.
No, but then Drouin had one also a week later.
I don't know.
And so here's another thing that bugs me. So at the Pacioretty golf tournament, which was about 2 weeks ago, obviously there was that awkward moment because Molson and Bergevin were there.
Yeah.
right? And so then it was like front page news the next day in Montreal.
Everybody's together.
Yeah, like, oh, that looked awkward, right?
Yeah.
Then a week after that, Drouin has his golf tournament where the same people are there, obviously.
Yeah.
And then there was that awkward moment again, and then it's front page news again. Like, we just went through this a week ago. Why are you showing me the same thing?
That's the summer in Montreal, right? There's nothing to talk about. The fringe teams that we have, like our MLS team and our CFL team, are not doing well, so no one wants to talk about them. And the Canadians, like, it's like that any little thing that happens is going to be front page news. It's terrible.
That's so unimportant to me.
Yeah,
it's,
I know.
You know,
they shouldn't
it
even have
just
to
happened
cover
a
the
week
golf
ago.
tournaments.
When I saw the newspaper, I'm like, wait a minute, this is an old story that happened. And I'm like, oh no, wait, this is a different golf tournament.
It's Groundhog Day.
And then I heard this morning in the car that there's another golf tournament today. I'm like, how many golf tournaments does this team play?
Maybe we should learn how to play golf.
Unbelievable.
All right. What else do you got? I have something, but I don't know if you want to talk about it because when I mentioned it to you yesterday briefly,
yeah,
I just wanted to know if I should put it on my list. I was trying to like scope you out to see if you even knew what was going on, which is this whole business with Serena Williams at the US Open.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I have some strong opinions about this.
I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I watched it live. You told me you didn't watch it live.
No, I saw highlights.
As I was watching it, the first thing I could think about was like, poor Osaka, right? Like, she's won her first major tournament and she's not even celebrating. She didn't celebrate when on the winning point. She just went to the net and it was quiet. And then during the trophy presentation, like, they were booing the fans because not booing her, but like booing the whole situation because obviously the crowd was so pro Serena. I just felt bad for her. It's like her moment's gone, you know?
Yeah,
and Serena tried to like say that, you know, she came out and said, oh, like she realized what was happening. To her credit, she tried to like put the attention back on the champion, but it was a little too late. So like my take on it is I don't know how I feel about it. I want to like Serena. I feel like Serena's the greatest female athlete of our life. Not just tennis player. I think she's the greatest female athlete maybe ever. No female athlete dominated her sport like this.
I guess not.
Right?
I mean, Lindsey Vonn is a good female athlete.
Yeah, but Lindsey Vonn didn't win like every time she skied. You know,
Right.
Serena pretty much wins all the time. Anyways, we can debate that another time. But suffice to say, she's definitely the greatest women's tennis player. Like, whatever.
Katie Ledecky.
Katie Ledecky. Yeah, it's swimming. That's
she
a good
wins
one.
all the time.
That's a good one. So I want to like her. She's kind of like passed into this different phase of her career now, where she's the older player now, right? But like, she's such a hothead, you know, and to come out and say and make it look like, oh, there's this big conspiracy against me. Look at this happens to me every time at the U.S. Open. It's because you're a hothead, and you need to. A mature player like she is should have learned from all her past experiences at the U.S. Open when things didn't go her way, and she thought there's conspiracies against her and bad calls and different things. Like, is she right about some of the stuff she said? Do men get away with swearing at the chair umpires without getting penalties? Yes. But the fact of the matter is she was warned. Once you get that first warning, you should be like, you know, it's like in basketball. You get that first technical, then you're on your best behavior. You know, you don't want to get ejected. And she got her first warning, and then she didn't seem to faze her, you know? Whether her coach was coaching her from the stands or not, I don't care. She got the warning, you know? I just feel like she should have rose above it all. Being the great champion she is, she should have rose above everything that was going on and concentrated on playing tennis instead of getting into arguments with the chair umpire, which eventually may have cost her the match.
So there's a few things I want to mention about this whole incident.
Yeah.
I'll try to take them in chronological order as they happened.
Yeah.
First, she gets penalized because her coach was coaching her.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, every single coach in tennis does that all the time, and they never get called.
I agree.
So that mistake, I give a tribute to the umpire for giving her, for penalizing her.
Right.
Because if other coaches do it and they don't get penalized, she shouldn't have been penalized. Then, of course, she's upset, which I would have been also. But, and I don't even care what she said, because I mean, I probably would have said a lot worse.
She didn't actually say anything bad. She just said, you're a thief. You stole a point from me.
Right. The thing was, it wasn't what she said. It was that she just didn't stop.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that bothered me was...
That's it. She didn't stop.
She didn't stop, but then she says, you know, I'm a mother now and I want to set example for my child. I would never do something like this. Don't mention your child in this whole thing. Don't tell me you want to set an example. You're playing a tennis match now. I don't care if you're a mother or a father or you don't have any kids at all.
Yeah.
Don't start bringing that into it. And then
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it.
that had nothing to do with it. And she mentioned that again, I think, in the post-game press conference.
She was saying how she's fighting for the women on tour because they were discriminated against, which may be true. It's because the examples she brought up are true.
But she's playing against another woman.
I know.
So I don't buy that argument at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it had anything to do with her being a woman.
Yeah. I think she just lost her cool. That's all. She blew her top and that was it.
And I understand that she lost it, and I probably would have lost it also. But she just didn't stop.
Yeah.
And then the second penalty that she got was probably too harsh.
Yeah.
So I blame the umpire on that. But a lot of this could have been solved even before it started.
Yeah.
In that, why are there not female umpires when women are playing?
I saw a female umpire in other matches.
There are female umpires.
I guess this guy is very highly rated. Apparently.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
the truth is, of all the sports to officiate,
Yeah.
tennis is one of the easiest. Because
They have that instant replay now for all the difficult calls.
exactly. Plus, you have how many ball boys and ball girls and line judges all over the court.
Yeah.
It's one of the easiest to officiate.
Yeah.
I mean, when I play tennis, granted, it's not in the U.S. Open, I'm playing against another person. We officiate ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't even
and it goes well.
Yeah, and we don't even have someone umpiring.
Yeah.
So it's like, really? You couldn't find a female person to officiate the female matches, and then Serena never would have even mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
And
if, or if she did, she would have been out of line because you're talking to a female.
Yeah, and the other thing that that's interesting because about the ref, because I don't know if you saw, there was an article in the Washington Post by Sally Jenkins, you know her.
Yeah.
And she was saying like this whole thing also could have been avoided if the umpire, the chair umpire, would have done his job properly, because you know it, you've mentioned it before, and I have too. We hate it when officials in any sport try to become bigger than the game. Home plate umpires confronting players who are arguing at them instead of just backing off.
Baseball's the worst.
Baseball's the worst, right? But like football, you don't see it. Baseball, you see it all the time, right? This is like officials interjecting themselves into the sport to become, for whatever reason, like to show. A ref does his job well or her job well when you don't know they're there, right? So in this situation with the tennis, that ref should have tried to calm the situation down instead of
inciting her.
Not necessarily inciting her, but he wasn't calming it down. She, like you said, she kept going. The ref needed to like just try to calm the situation and not get her into more trouble than she already was in.
And by the way, there was still plenty of time for her, if she's such a good tennis player and favored so highly to win this.
Yeah.
There was still plenty of time for her to win the match. So don't tell me that she lost the match because of this.
No. That's the story that no one's talking about. Osaka was going to win no matter what. She won the first set. She was playing very, very well in the second set. I know it was going back and forth, but I just don't see how Serena was going to win that match. Like, maybe she's Serena. Of course she could come back, right? She could beat anybody.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm sad about. I'm like, this girl Osaka, hopefully in next year or in 2 years, we're going to just say U.S. Open Women's Champion. And we're not going to say asterisk. Remember when Serena blew up and lost a point. And
Serena did seem like a big baby. She did.
Well, but that's what I said. She has a huge history of this, And I know she's trying to be like the mature mom, and she even brought it up, but she's not acting like the mature mom, Anyways, that's all. We never talk about tennis. I don't know, this is 110 episodes. How many times have we ever talked about tennis? Other than you playing?
Maybe once.
Maybe. I don't even think.
Well, no, because Neil won his tennis pool.
No, but I mean professional tennis. Other than talking about Jeannie Bouchard's Instagram account or... her being in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, this is an audio podcast, so Jeannie Bouchard's Instagram account is useless in an audio podcast.
This is true. All right, I mean, that's my list.
I have a bunch of little things, nothing major.
Okay.
So, and you know this better than I do, that this whole video gaming thing, esports, is huge.
It's gigantic.
So... I struggle to talk about this because it really frustrates me. So I know that people love to play video games.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you love to play video games,
great.
That's great.
I love to play.
Go ahead. Play all you want.
Yeah.
And I know that people play against each other now, and they have these tournaments where people come together.
Yeah.
What I just found out last week, and I'm late to the game on this, is that there's this league.
Yeah.
There's this esports basketball league.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you. I know
where there's like 30 teams.
Yeah.
Just like there's 30 NBA
the
teams.
teams have their team. Each
Right.
franchise has their team.
Right. So like there's a team in Toronto,
I'm
there's
gonna
a team in New York, there's a team in LA. So first of all, I was stunned to hear that.
Yeah.
Then I find out that like there's a draft.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
So, if you own the team in Phoenix and there's this really good video game player in Toronto,
You can get him on your team.
You can get him on your team, or her. You can get them on your team.
Yeah.
And not only that, if you do get them on your team, they have to move to Phoenix.
Well,
Because which totally I don't understand, because you can play this from your basement against anybody in the world.
but because they travel to tournaments.
This is the other thing that stunned me. They travel to tournaments like as a real team.
I know.
But all they're doing is playing video games.
know, but
wait, I haven't even gone to the one thing. All that stuns me.
Yeah.
But this one stuns me more than any of the other things.
Yeah.
They can go play at like the Bell Center or the Air Canada Center or any 18,000 or 20,000 or
And people
seat
come.
arena, and it sells out.
I know.
This is ridiculous to me. So now you're telling me basically that like I could have a camera of myself cooking dinner and people are going to watch that.
Well, people do. There's YouTube channels with people cooking that have 1 million subscribers. But you know the golden rule. You've told it to me 1 million times.
What is the golden rule?
It's all about the money.
Okay, but
They wouldn't get a big arena to get 15,000 people in the arena if the promoter didn't think they could make money and sell tickets for it.
I know, but why would someone want to watch someone else playing a video game?
Look, I don't do that.
I never understood why poker was on television.
That's also a bit bizarre.
So, but this is just as bizarre. But at least with poker, you don't see them playing in a 20,000 seat arena.
I
It's
know.
on television. This is like people are buying tickets to go watch this? Really?
Yeah. So we're in the airport in New York, going on our vacation. We just landed, right? We're walking to like the taxi area. My son sees someone. I thought maybe someone he knew. Like, he just goes up to like a total stranger. I didn't know who the guy was. And he's like, "Where did you get that shirt?" The shirt the guy's wearing.
Mm.
And the guy's like, "Oh, well, I'm on the team. This is our whole team. We're all here." So Matthew recognized the Sacramento Kings NBA 2K team shirt. And it turns out that they were all there because they were going to a big tournament. So then the next thing you know, he's taking a picture with the guy. He's Snapchatting it to all his friends. "Look who I met. I met this guy." Like it was like he met a celebrity. Meanwhile, it's just a guy who plays video games. Then on the flight coming home from the very same vacation a week later, sitting with my daughter, and there's two like youngish people. They must have been early 20s, 20 years old, next to us. And they're flying back to England, but they're going like New York, Montreal, London. And I just start talking to them and like, "What were you doing in New York?" And then the guy says, he goes, I don't know how to tell you this, but we went to see a sporting event. I'm like, "Oh, you went to see like a Yankees game?" Or like, I'm thinking like, what sporting event could he see in New York? Like, it's a pretty big trip to travel from London to New York to the Yankees or the Mets, right? Like, but that's all that's going on, right? In the summer, There's no other sports going on. Or I was thinking maybe he went to see like some of the English soccer teams were on tour in the United States doing their preseason. You know, like
what the NCAA basketball
they play
teams do.
games on the United States like on a tour. I'm like, "Oh, you went to see Liverpool play against New York, whatever?" And he's like, No. I'm like, "Well, what did you go to see?" He's like, "I went to the Overwatch finals." So he was at the Barclays Center. It was full to capacity to see the finals of this Overwatch. It's a game I never played. Anyways, it's funny that you mentioned this, and I had like 2 little stories about it. So it's
well, speaking of Overwatch,
yeah.
This is how I found out about that NBA league.
Yeah.
Because Toronto was just awarded an Overwatch team.
Whoa.
Like this happened last week.
Big deal. You're gonna try out.
Definitely not, because I still don't know what Overwatch is. number one. Number two,
We're so old.
the person who's going to be running this Overwatch team.
It's probably like 17.
No, he's the former CEO of the Canadian Olympic Committee.
Oh my God.
He left his job at the Canadian Olympic Committee to do this.
I think it just goes to show I think people are seeing like the potential of a lot of money. It's not there yet. There's money there, but not big money. But I think people are trying to get involved at like the early stages because they're thinking they're going to really, really get rich.
Okay, speaking of video games, little off topic here.
Yeah.
I have to ask you a question because this was in the news last week in the NHL and all that. What is Fortnite and why are players not allowed to play it?
You don't know about Fortnite?
No, what is it and why can't players play it?
Fortnite is a free game. Both my kids have played it. Selena was even into it for a little while. It's a free game that you get. You don't pay a cent for it, but they try to get you on like in-game purchases and stuff. It's like a shooting game. It's one of these like you have a gun and you're trying to kill all the people. But
Isn't that every game now?
No, but they have like a good concept where it's what they call it is like it's kind of like a last man standing type of deal. You start the game with 50 other people all playing online, and if the winner is the one who's not dead at the end. Mm-hmm. And the games are not long. Like the games don't last for hours and hours. But I never played it. I've seen my kids play it. It swept the whole country. Like the biggest stream they ever had on Twitch was when Drake was playing Fortnite against some kind of Fortnite YouTuber, and it's really popular. But I think it got into the news for hockey because a lot of these kids who are just drafted, they're 17, 18 years old, they're totally addicted to playing. And I've read stories where players are coming to practice late because they were playing Fortnite till 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I think teams are starting to recognize like it's a problem in terms of like the players' time because that's all they do when they're not practicing.
So I'm done.
You're done? All right. So before we sign off, I want to remind you that to make sure that you never miss an episode of the Skip and Josh podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, the podcast app of your choice. And also remember, we're on iHeartRadio now, so it's even easier to listen to our show. We'd love to hear from you via email, skipandjoshshow@gmail.com, Twitter @skipandjosh, or by liking and following our Facebook page. And as always, skipandjosh.com has all the links to how to subscribe to everything. And I was trying to put a couple of interesting little tidbits on the website, and I just forgot, like that thing that you sent me about Newman and Kramer. Yeah, I'll post that. It's a funny little picture from a baseball game. It's pretty cute. So I told you Serial's coming back.
Yes.
Serial podcast. It's huge, right?
And I listened to the preview and it sounds good.
It sounds good because Serial season 1 was fabulous.
Yes.
Season 2, not so much.
Terrible.
And so we've waited for like, it seems like forever. I want to say it's been 2 years since the last season came out, but I'm not sure if it's an actual 2 years, but it certainly feels like 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to listen to Serial season 3, which is going to come out soon. Yeah. But there's another podcast that crossed my vision this week.
Okay.
Found out about it on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how you're going to feel about it.
Okay, well, I'm intrigued.
It's called the Jack and Soph podcast. It's sponsored by Yahoo Sports Canada, and it's Jackie Redmond of MLB Network and of NHL Network, and Sophia Derskowitz of Sportsnet, I think. So they're going to have their own podcast.
Interesting. So
there's only a little promo right now. It's like a 1-minute promo. You can listen to it. Apparently they're best friends, which I already knew because I follow both of them on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. Mm-hmm. Actually, the promo of their show sounds exactly like our show. Only the difference is we're a lot more knowledgeable, I think. And
they're better looking?
They're better looking and maybe more famous. So they'll get better guests.
But it's a podcast.
It's a podcast,
so it doesn't matter how good looking they are.
Exactly.
Like, the people listening to us could think we're smoking hot. They don't know.
But we are, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they can go on the website and see our picture. But yeah, you're right. So I just thought that was interesting. So I don't know how you feel about that because I know you really like Sophia and I know you really don't like Jackie.
It's true.
So you're torn.
I'm torn.
Yeah.
I'm very torn. Well, speaking of podcasts, there's another new podcast that launched on Friday.
Yeah.
Which I specifically wanted to listen to the first episode. Mm-hmm. And before I even listened to it, I knew that I would not listen to another episode afterwards.
Okay.
And it's the Kevin Sheehan Show.
Oh, yes. Well, I totally forgot to try to find it on Overcast or on Apple because I know he mentioned it on the Tony Kornheiser show. But the podcast has such a stupid name.
Well, it's right now. It's called the Kevin Sheehan Show.
But it's called the Kevin Sheehan Show podcast.
Oh.
So
okay.
I thought that was strange.
Well, you have to listen to episode 1.
Yeah.
Because they talk about the name of the show.
Okay.
I won't spoil it for you.
Well, those of you who don't know who Kevin Sheehan is, he's a Washington radio personality who's often on the Tony Kornheiser show, and now
He's going to be doing news on Tony's show now, apparently,
so
all
now
the time.
he'll have his own show. He's very knowledgeable, actually, on the Redskins and everything going on in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's also a degenerate gambler. And by the way, he's going to be recording at least the first week of his podcast is from the same studio where Tony does his show.
Oh,
it's
at
from
his
Chatham.
restaurant. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so I definitely will listen to that.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think you'll ever listen past episode 1.
Probably not.
Because you're not a Redskins fan, you're not a Nationals fan, you're not a Capitals fan, you're not a DC United fan.
No, it's got to be.
You're not a Washington Wizards fan. So I don't think you're going to listen.
No. Is he going to do the weather?
He's going to do the weather on Tony's show.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right, that's all I got.
that's all I got.
Great seeing you, Cub.
Yeah,
I hope our sound quality is good. We're about to find out.
I'm sure it will be.
All right, talk to you next time.
Okay, bye.
The Skip and Josh podcast is over now. Don't worry, there'll be another episode soon.